Welcome to The Point of View. This is your favorite current affairs show here on Channel 1 Television. And on this show, we pick the right topics, get the right guests, and ask them relevant questions on issues that matter to you. We're all happy the Black Stars have scraped through 1-0 against Mali. So now we just have to avoid defeat in our next couple of games, and we are in the US, Canada, and Mexico. On that happy note, we introduce today's show. Now, the President of the Republic will be addressing the media on Wednesday, where he will be obviously answering questions. Now, we're here to do a 9-month economic overview of the Mahama administration. So, he was sworn in January. His finance minister held his economic forum in March. So, we can say he's done 6 months of proper economy, but at least we can do the first 9 months. How well is the Mahama administration doing on 4 parameters? Inflation and price stability, exchange rate management, debt and growth. Of course, all of those and more when we come back. I have a very interesting panel who are live in studio. We'll be right back.
Remember who we are seeing now. At risk of prostate enlargement. We a member or her 20 ebitimi prostate cancer. 5 bitimi afamu nadia ubefamu.
Actually, this is not my fault.
Why? And to wada. Entina midi meniche Executive Prostate Center.
Executive Prostate Center is a unique medical center where we harmonize in-depth traditional medicine with cutting-edge science and technology to cure, to treat, and to prevent diseases like prostate enlargement, prostate cancer.
Executive Prostate Center. Madame home. Facilities no any professional medical care.
Sisi a bibia clear system no. Ye nro ne so de natural. Into we koso afama ye.
Executive Prostate Center. My cured.
Kwame and his uncle are almost here.
Wait a minute. This one too, your friend Kwame.
Wait, Kwame. As in the same Kwame again?
Yes, mommy.
I'm the second coming. Into all this tension just to reintroduce that broke boy from Kaswa.
Why would you deceive the family like this again?
Now I understand the whole delay. Troll from Kaswa. Why wouldn't he be late? Or be late?
Of course.
Star 712 hash, star 712 hash. You go be the luckiest. Go be from Georgia, be luckiest. From not the cause she be luckiest. Yeah, you go be luckiest. No matter why you're luckiest. Everybody go be that luckiest.
That's Kwame!
Send your God down for boom. If you're poor, so would the coming of the Son of Man be. Hey. Is that his car?
Dial star 712 hash. Choose your ticket. Enter your lucky number. Follow the prompt and let destiny handle the rest.
This promotion is regulated by the NLA on the Caritas platform.
Announcing Ghana's first unlimited photocopier leasing. Yes, from just 983 Ghana cedis, you can lease a multifunctional photocopier and print unlimited. Yes, unlimited and free paper every month. Guess what? That's not all. Toners, repairs, and maintenance all are free. And oh, I'm not kidding at all. And we cover the whole country. Yes, the whole country. What are you waiting for? Just visit us at www.valexlease.com or call 0244 644048. Remember, terms and conditions apply. Valix Lease, affordable document management solutions.
So welcome back. Tonight on The Point of View, we have a 3-man panel to look at a 9-month review of the Mahama economic administration. My guests in studio are Joe Jackson. Now he leads Dalex, and he's very happy, even though he's wearing black. He's very, very happy because Ghana has won. Joe Jackson, good evening.
Good evening.
Are you such a big soccer fan?
Oh, I'm a huge soccer fan.
Huge soccer fan.
Huge soccer fan.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I didn't watch this match because I was tidying up a few things. But I'm a huge soccer fan.
So we are going to the World Cup?
Yes, I'm proper soccer fan. Only that day.
Oh, okay. I'm phobia.
Only that day.
Only that day.
I've been only that day all my life.
Is it?
Yes.
Then you've suffered for long.
Oh, no. Can you imagine only that day in Chelsea?
Okay. Oh, God. all the wrong clubs.
Oh.
I also have Thomas in me here. Thomas is a financial journalist in whom I'm well pleased. Thomas, it's good to have you. Good evening.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Are you also a soccer fan?
Yes, I am.
Which team do you support?
I'll say this is embarrassing, but I'm a Man U fan.
Who are you?
We'll be back.
You have suffered for longer. I also have my professor, who is the Vice Chancellor of the Methodist University College. He used to be the head of the Department of Economics, University of Ghana, and he taught me economics, Professor William Babwating. He's also very, very happy joining us from home. I think he was watching the game, hiding under his blanket. Prof, good evening. Welcome to the show.
Good evening, Ben. Thank you very much for having me.
So like you taught us, we're going to use 4 bullet points for the show. First question we are answering is exchange rate. Second question we are answering is inflation and other rates. Third question is the question of debt management. And then the final question is the objective of economic management, full employment, so job creation. So viewers, this is live. You can send us your questions. And what do you think about I don't know whether it's even 9 months of Mahama's administration, because Joe is telling me that technically it's how many months?
8 months.
8 months.
Ended 8 months ending 7th yesterday.
So he's done 8 months. So I should change the topic.
Yes.
Okay.
He's done 8 months.
He's done 8 months.
Yes.
But he's been in office. Okay, yes. So he's done January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August. So he's now entering September.
Yes.
So the topic is wrong. Forgive me, viewers. so it's supposed to be 8 months. Actually, to be fair, it's actually been 6 months.
You're even right.
Because the budget was ready in March. Yeah. And so you can say that the economy we are running is been March, April, May, June, July, August. Yeah. So 6 months. 6 months. We'll change the topic. I want to start with exchange rate because before I came back from leave, I heard a lot of people say that the noise about the CD stability has been sort of dampened by what's happened in the past month. Okay. So, by the way, is the exchange rate the most important indicator to use in assessing the economic performance of a government like a Ghanaian economy, Joe?
Definitely not.
Definitely not.
Definitely not. In fact, one of the things that I call this myth is that your exchange rate is a measure of economic performance. Your exchange rate is an issue of demand and supply. Your exchange rate is a tool for economic development. Your exchange rate is anything else but a single measure of how well you've performed. And in fact, my problem is that we always look at that and we then say if the exchange rate moves, all hell breaks loose. Or the exchange rate looks good, everybody thinks life is good. It's not that simple.
So we have over exaggerated exchange rate's importance?
Okay, let me add a nuance.
Okay.
An economist always add a nuance.
Uh-huh.
The exchange rate is an important thing, but it is definitely not the measure of how well your economy is performing. The Chinese, the South Koreans, they have had periods where they kept their exchange rate, the Japanese, undervalued as a tool to create more exports, as a tool to draw in foreign direct investment. Why is it that, and listen, a strong currency has its problems. Talk to the Germans. They'll tell you some of the difficulties they are facing now is that the euro is too strong.
Actually, let me rephrase the question. Is exchange rate stability the most important measure of economic performance? Now I've changed the question. Because when I opened the question as exchange rate, you sort of took me to a different side. What I'm really mean is stability. Is exchange rate stability the most important measure of economic performance?
It's not.
Still not?
Still not. It's exchange rate stability is good for business. As a business, the exchange rate is stable, I'm happy. I can plan. I can forecast. I can do all the right things. As an investor, exchange rate stability makes sense. As a financial institution, exchange rate stability makes sense. But it is still, the stability is still not a measure of economic performance.
Good. Thomas, what's your view? Is exchange rate stability the most important measure of economic performance?
I agree with you in terms of the fact that it's not the most important thing. What is important about exchange rates is how the economy responds to the exchange rate.
Okay.
Now, you notice that we are talking about the city's depreciation during the third quarter of the year. And you have to ask yourself, why is the city depreciating? You have a record high trade surplus. You will need to suspend debt repayments, which put us in this mess in the first place in 2022.
Okay.
So why is the city depreciating? You see, when the exchange rate went to 10 point something to 1, people who criticize exchange rate management will complain about the fact that our exports, our non-traditional exports, will not be as competitive as before. And I always maintain that that is not our issue. Our issue was that it will kill any efforts we have at import substitution. It was not about how it will affect our exports. It was about how it will affect our imports. And that's what's happening right now. If you go and check the data from Bank of Ghana, the import bill has surged again. Look, you're an import-dependent country. Now the dollars they used to import has become cheap. And on top of that, because inflation has gone down, the credits used to buy the dollars has become cheap. What do you think will happen?
So that rapid appreciation of the currency was not good.
It was too sharp.
So, but the question still stands. Exchange rate stability, is it the most important measure of economic performance? You still think no?
Exchange rate stability, to the extent that the exchange rate appreciation was too rapid, then you can say that stability is good.
Right. By the way, the chart on the screen will show that CD dollar exchange rate 2023 January was around 11. It peaked at 16.4. This is Bank of Ghana data. Around the end of 2024, then came down to around 15 1st January of 2025, and came all the way down to around 10 by end of May. It started picking up again. Let me come to Professor and ask him the same question. Prof, is exchange rate stability the most important measure of economic performance?
Yeah, Ben, thank you very much. And let me say good evening to my colleagues at the studio. Exchange rate is a symptom of how the economy is performing or the undercurrent within the economy. Exchange rate itself is not the most important indicator, but it is a symptom of how we are dealing with outside world or the global trade and so on. So the moment you see exchange rate depreciating or appreciating, it means that something is happening. It is, and as I always say it in the classroom, I always want to use analogy. Sometimes you wake up and you see that your head is aching. For all you know, you have constipation. So the headache is just a symptom. So it is not the headache which is the issue, but there's something underneath that needs to be looked at. So I would say exchange rate itself is a symptom, but it is not the most important variable. If our economy, especially if the real sector is doing very well, and I will take you back to Econ 101. Exchange rate is about money, foreign currency in relation to our local currency. CD is a currency. CD or currency is nothing if it is not backed by production. Remember when we had the barter system, there was nothing like currency. So we exchanged goods for goods. And then money came in to facilitate exchange. So the money itself must be backed by goods and services production. So when you see exchange rate misbehaving, it means that something is wrong. One, you could have trade surplus, but you may see some structural issues there. For instance, why do you have trade surplus, but your exchange rate is still depreciating? It means that perhaps the export proceeds are not coming into the country. My colleagues just said sharp appreciation is not the best. And I think I had conversation with you, and I said I was really worried about the sharp appreciation. And I emphasize the sharp appreciation, because exchange rate appreciation is not bad in itself if it is organic. What do I mean by organic? If it is the real sector that is dictating the pace, then you can see that at least things are running okay. But if there's rapid appreciation within a month or two, then you can see that something underneath is wrong. And when that one is corrected, it will go back again. And that is where the instability comes in.
Let me stay with you. Now the dollar has started strengthening against the cedi. If you look at the past month or two, the cedi has moved from around 11, in some places around 13. When you look at what has happened to the cedi in the past 6 months, what is your assessment? Is it a correction of a wrong so that the cedi is now depreciating gradually, or was the appreciation a blip? How do you summarize the chart for the Ghana cedi against its major trade partners?
Well, I can only speak to data, and I can only speak to historical issues. If you study exchange rate movement daily or monthly over a long period of time, you realize that the exchange rate begins to shake from July, August, September. That is the second half, or sometimes getting to the third quarter. So August, September, October. That is where, and it is because we are moving gradually into the Christmas festivities. So that means demand is going to go up. When you finish everything within a matter, the first quarter, you see that importers are trying to, as it were, pay for their bills. Some firms are supposed to repatriate their profit and so on. So you see that after February, it begins to stabilize. My worry was that in May, I didn't see any surge in demand, but we realized that it was appreciating so far, which means some intervention might have taken place. I would have thought that when there was the demand was not so high, we shouldn't have tampered with it and keep whatever we have. When we move into August, September, and demand begins to surge, then we meet the demand so that it will not be a seesaw swing. So that will be my assessment, because when it came down, I remember people were saying it must go down to 1, 2, but it didn't know that it was going to hurt the economy. And indeed, it did hurt the economy. I gave you some indication about government revenue at the port. I don't have the figures, but from what I have gathered a bit, government revenue actually went down at the port.
All right.
Cocoa actually, so all these things had a problem, but importers were the ones that benefited. So it means that they can import more, and import will surge. So then it becomes seesaw. I am thinking that we normally have to watch the trend and then come in when the need.
All right. Let me still stay on station, and I'll come to Thomas, then I'll end with Joe. What do you think accounted for the rapid appreciation of the cedi against the dollar? Some think it was the gold prices and the fact that we had reserves of gold, which we were then we did a so-called gold for exchange program.
Yeah.
So gold for reserve, which was then being liquidated to back the currency. And because gold was doing so well, and people were uncertain about Trump, Ghana was the largest producer of gold on the continent. We were benefiting. Could the government take credit for the appreciation?
Yes,
they ought to.
But please don't forget, you see, when government is taking credit, remember one thing. What the Bank of Ghana is doing is not any unique thing. Most central banks around the world are moving from holding dollars to holding gold for their foreign exchange.
Yeah.
In fact, I think Reuters did a survey recently. I said about 95% of the central banks around the world rather now to buy gold rather than buy dollars. right? And this is something that was started by the previous Bank of Ghana regime anyway.
Yes.
So, yes, they've done the right thing, but it's not like they reinvented the wheel. But going for gold rather than dollar is the right thing to do. Fiscal discipline, yes, it has had an effect. That one you must give it to this government because they've been fiscally more disciplined than the previous government.
Okay.
So that has had a very good effect. And don't forget, you see, a large part of this thing is based on confidence. When you feel you can get foreign exchange where you need it,
you won't hold it.
You won't hold it. So that when people criticize the Bank of Ghana for the interventions, I thought at least for that period, the interventions were useful, but not sustainable. All right? But they were useful to create confidence, not just to push the exchange rate down.
Okay.
But to create confidence so people would not resort to hoarding foreign exchange. On the basis that, okay, if I need it next week, I can buy it, I can get it to buy next week. You notice that the forward auctions that the Bank of Ghana has resumed, if you look at the rates for delivery some days down the line, are not much different from the spot market rates, which means that the people who are now placing orders on the forward market don't expect a major change.
So are you saying that the figure we have now for the rate is more realistic?
Yes, it is. See, I was saying this when the exchange rate went to 10 point something, what was the exchange rate on the
black market,
informal market, the black market, even below the change and stuff?
It was like 12.
It was like 12. And you see, if you look at the experience from Nigeria, you know that eventually you have to merge the two rates.
So now that the spot and the futures are closer, you expect the black market and the formal, the BOG one to also get closer?
Yes. And I think that really reflects what the rate should be.
So the 13 could be the rate that we'll be working with. Joe, I'm on you now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, just let me give you back of the envelope numbers.
Yeah.
Right. I'm sure you recall we've all looked here at the purchasing power parity theory.
We've done that here before.
Yes. And we've looked at, which just says that this bottle of water, all things being equal, should cost the same thing as it does here and everywhere else in the world. And that the exchange rate will move to bring it into parity. And then we looked at the Big Mac. Remember?
Yes.
The economics has popularized the Big Mac's index. And the Big Mac is $5.30. The one we did this analysis must have been in July. $5.30. At that time it was $10.50. And the Big Mac in Ghana cost 87 cedis or more. In fact, our survey said it started around 80 cedis and ended up around 120 cedis. And so, therefore, a Big Mac was supposed to cost us about $8.30. Now, back of the envelope numbers say this differential between $5.30 for a Big Mac and $8.30 is too much. Even if you factor in the rigidities, the lack of infrastructure.
So that was July.
That was July. So
July last year.
No, July this year.
Okay.
So it was obvious that this 10.5 may be a difficult position to defend. And indeed, when you look at what happened, the central bank was intervening in the market. So long as the central bank was intervening, the rates were around 10, 11. Then the central bank announced that it won't intervene anymore. And as soon as it announced that it won't intervene, what happened? The rates shot up from 10, 11 to the 12 plus. But it is my opinion, and I'm sure a lot will, that the rate of 12 plus is a far more defensible position for the central bank than 10.5. And that the 10.5, even though it had a really feel-good factor, and everybody became bullish over time because of how much the CD was overvalued, would have brought us challenges.
Was it right for the president to say, when the CD continues strengthening, that the band they expected was 10 to 12 to the dollar. Was it right for him to have done that?
It was an estimate. I may give a different estimate. And the right signaling helps the market. Even when you think about it, the central bank didn't just quietly and nicodemuously stop intervening. It actually told us, I am going to stop intervening. So a lot of us knew that the rate was going to take, none of us were surprised when the rate took a hike. Because the central bank had stopped intervening. Very simple. The central bank intervenes to increase the supply from our reserves. And when it said, I can't do this anymore, it was natural that there will be an increase in the rates. I think now that this current rate can be maintained and can be defended, right? And remember, it wasn't only the World Bank, IMF said the same thing to the central bank, that this rate is a bit too low, right? What we forget was that even as importers were rejoicing, the cocoa sector was taking a hit. And in fact, when you think about it, the reason why the increment in the cocoa producer price did not cause as much of an appreciation from the farmers was that they felt, this is too low. But it was too low because the dollar had fallen. So even though the producer price went up in dollar terms, right, the actual change was minimal. Because when the last producer price was fixed, the dollar was around 15. This time, it was around 10.
We'll take a break. When we come back, we'll jump to the next issue. Inflation and price stability. This is the point of view. Inflation has come to almost a one-year low, around 11%. It's actually done better than the end-of-year target. But there are other rates that are behaving in a very interesting way. The rate that the central bank announces is still in the 20s, although the T-bill rates are also very low. We'll discuss the price stability when we come back and also look at unemployment and debt management. This is the point of view. We are reviewing now we are told 6 months of Mahama's economic management. I said it was 9, but my panelist says 9 is too long. So 6 months of Mahama's economic management. Stay with us.
Uncle are almost here.
Wait a minute. This one too, your friend Kwame.
Wait, Kwame? As in the same Kwame again?
Yes, Mommy.
The second coming. Into all this tension just to reintroduce that broke boy from Kaswa.
Why would you deceive the family like this again?
Now I understand the whole delay. Troll from Kaswa. Why wouldn't he be late? Or be late?
Of course.
Star 712 hash, star 712 hash. Yeah, you go give me the luckiest. Copy from Georgia be luckiest. From not the cause she be luckiest. Yeah, you go give me luckiest. No matter why you're lucky, everybody go be that luckiest.
That's Kwame!
Senya God the apple boom. If you put it toye, so would the coming of the son of man be. Is that his car?
Dial star 712 hash. Choose your ticket. Enter your lucky number. Follow the prompts and let destiny handle the rest.
This promotion is regulated by the NLA on the Caritas platform.
Remember who we are seeing now. At risk of prostate enlargement. We remember or her 20 ebitimi prostate cancer. 5 bitimi afamu nadia obefamu.
Actually, this is not my fault.
And to wada, entina midi maniche Executive Prostate Center.
Executive Prostate Center is a unique medical center where we harmonize in-depth traditional medicine with cutting-edge science and technology to cure, to treat, and to prevent diseases like prostate enlargement, prostate cancer.
Executive Prostate Center. facilities no, any professional medical care.
Sisi a bibia clear wɔ system no. Ye nro ne so de ɛyɛ natural. Into we koso afa ama ye.
Executive Prostate Center. My cured.
Welcome back. The point of view tonight is reviewing you could say the third quarter of the year, the Mahama administration's economic performance under 4 headings. We've dealt with exchange rate. My guests are Toma and me here, Joe Jackson and Professor William Babuateng of the Methodist University. Next is inflation. Ghana's headline inflation eased to 11.5% in August 2025, down 12.1% in July, according to Statistical Service of Ghana. This was the 8th consecutive month of decline, bringing inflation below the government's end-of-year target of 11.9%, signaling stronger price stability. The August figure was the lowest recorded in almost 4 years. Month-on-month, overall prices actually fell by 1.3%, offering households some respite from prolonged cost of living pressures. So let me start with Professor Babuateng. Are these happy times? Is inflation the most important? Let me go back to my question. Is inflation the most important indicator of economic management? Can we say that?
Well, it's one of them because in macroeconomics, macroeconomic objectives, it have 4 basic objectives. The first one is economic growth. The second one is price stability, domestic price stability. The third one is balance of payments. The fourth one is employment. So in this case, I can say inflation is one of the important indicators to be able to measure the health of the economy. But let's also bear in mind that the 11.5% means that general price level has increased by 11.5% in August over 2024 August. So it is year on year. That is what it
but
means.
But month on month, price actually fell by 1.3%.
Exactly.
Which is actually very good, isn't it?
Yes, it is. It is because especially in a country where we always have inflation, at best we hover around, our best have been 8%. So we are always within the teens. So if we have month-on-month inflation coming down, then for me it's good. But it's attributed to a number of factors. The first one will be the outcome of the appreciation. Of course, the appreciation happened April, May, and you expect that by July, August, its effect on prices will not be as much as the appreciation, but at least it will have some effect, especially imported inflation. That is one. The second one is that if you look at food inflation would have gone down because we have started the harvest season. You know, yam in particular, we started harvesting yam somewhere late June, July, August. So from food end, we'll continue to harvest, and that will be good for us. Especially this year, I think we've had quite reasonable rain, and that is also good. The third one is that you may like it or you may not like it. I think the fiscal side has also been quite good. I think the expenditure side has tamed quite a bit, and therefore the outflows have not been so much. And when you have that, plus the rate, the way Bank of Ghana is cautious in managing the demand side, you expect that it will be like that. So these are the 3 major causes, and I expect that where it has been, I am predicting that if the exchange rate does not misbehave and we are able to keep it at 12, where we are now to the end of the year, I expect that we should end the year within the range of 9, maybe plus or minus 2.
So for you, the most important driver of inflation in recent months would be the exchange rate?
No, the food.
Food. Okay, fair enough.
The food aspect is very because we are
let me show the chart. Food and
Yes, go ahead.
I'm showing the chart behind us. Inflation, this is the middle of the 6 charts, middle upwards. Red line is non-food, blue line is food. Both are trending downwards. Look at it. First quarter of 2023, food inflation was around 60%. It's now below the teens. This figure that I have here is July 2025 now. Non-food inflation was about 50%, 2023. It's come all the way down to about 11. So inflation is trending downwards. And you think food is the key driver. Let me come to Thomas. Prof,
I spoke about three of them. So
yes.
Inflation and also the appreciation of the exchange rate. These are two. And of course, you cannot also discount the fiscal part.
So those are the top 3 drivers of inflation. And for all of them, inflation is heading the right way. So we should be happy.
Yes.
I have a second question on the relationship between inflation and the other rates. But let me take everybody's first take on inflation. Thomas, how critical is inflation in an economy like this? And how well has this government done in managing it?
Well, first of all, inflation is very, very important in terms of, because that's what both businesses and households use to plan. They make their decisions not based on what prices are today, what they expect prices to be going forward. So inflation is crucial. In terms of what they've done, what the government has done in inflation, that is a good thing. There's no two ways about it. As with the exchange rate, we said it was too fast. Inflation, they've done well. They've done well. But all I want to say is that as much as inflation has driven down the cost of government's borrowing, I think the Bank of Ghana should be more careful about driving down the cost of borrowing for both production and consumption, because of the amount of that credit that will go into the foreign exchange market, looking for dollars. So immediately when they did that 300 basis point cut in was it July?
Rate.
Yes, I said that, hey man, the exchange rate is going to go up. Government needs to cut his debt servicing costs. So as long as you can keep the treasury bill rate above the inflation rate and make it positive, so institutional investors will buy treasury bills, you're okay. But
so when treasury bill rates go below inflation, you have negative interest rates. Then you have a problem. So the T-bill being in the early teens is not necessarily bad because inflation is below the early teens.
Exactly.
That's an interesting point. So for you, the inflation management has been great.
Yeah.
I'll come to the second question around why the government of Ghana, Bank of Ghana rate itself is in the 20s. Isn't it too far away from inflation?
That's liquidity management.
Okay, we'll come to that. Thomas, thank you, Thomas. Joe, what do you make of the inflation trajectory, the drivers, and all that has been said so far? Are we on a good path?
Definitely on a good path. Definitely on a good path. Remember that the inflation as we're ending 2024 was partly because consistently food prices were high. In fact, if you listen to the government statistician, he kept saying food prices are high, and that there was even a famine up north. So once we entered into this season and food prices are coming down, the rains were decent. We obviously are beneficiaries of the good weather. That's a great thing. But even more important, in my opinion, is the fiscal restraint that the government has exercised. A number of things. Number one, it has kept its own debt service bill low. Because when it goes to the auction for T-bills, it only takes what is there that it planned to take, even if it is oversubscribed. It just takes, in the old days, in the old regime, it was a roof. We gather everything that we can. Now, there's a lot of discipline. And even when the rate, it is undersubscribed, as soon as they hit the rate that they set out to achieve, they wash their hands and walk away from the table. That has meant that the government has managed its own effect on inflation very well. Contrasting this with the previous regime where there was a bit more of a scattergun approach. In addition, whether we like it or not paying the contractors has had a huge effect, because that if the contractors with their contractors and vendors with their bills from years ago were all paid in this season,
inflation have gone up.
It would have been disastrous. So that restraint.
So this is fiscal restraint.
Fiscal restraint. And let nobody underestimate how much that has helped keep inflation low. Because inflation is very simple. In a lot of ways, it's just plenty money chasing few goods. And if you go to the market with a budget and they are not enough, what will the market women will raise the prices because the truck from Tichima didn't bring the yam. And if there's a lot, what will happen? The prices will come down. It's no different. So
all three of you seem to be saying that the inflation that is being managed, a lot of it is from the fiscal side.
From the fiscal
because
side.
the inflation we're experiencing in the previous administration was because of the fiscal indiscipline.
Yeah.
That may be true, but let me come back to the monetary. Jude, put up the monetary development chart. Because I think the central bank would also want some credit for the inflation stability. Because, for example, reserve money growth has also come down. In fact, some people believe that inflation is everywhere a monetary phenomenon. So, guys, I just want to ask, shouldn't the governor also say, well, in addition to Atuforsen's restraint in paying, the growth of money supply has also been lower, for which reason inflation is also lower. So
Absolutely.
give us some of the credit. Don't give all to the finance
The
minister.
credit is where they kept the MPC.
But all of you are giving it to the finance people.
No. You said you come back to the MPC.
Yeah, okay, then I'm there now. Because I feel like if I look at these numbers now, reserve money growth, it's sort of trending down. Yes. Currency outside the banking sector started trending down as well.
That's the liquidity part of
M2 plus growth is also coming down. So my point is that the monetary authorities also deserve some credit.
They deserve credit.
Yeah, Thomas, what is it?
It's instructive that as the treasury bill rates crashed down to 15% or less, during the second quarter.
No, at the time they crashed to 15.
When they crashed
very
down,
high.
the Bank of Ghana was still issuing Bank of Ghana bills at over 20%, which they are still doing now. Now, they are doing that to suck the liquidity out of the banking system. Now, of course, they will turn and tell you that, oh, they want to get the banks to lend more. Now they're going to buy treasury bills again, and that. The question now, because if that's really what really want the banks to do, why are they giving banks the opportunity to buy Bank of Ghana bills at over 20%? They are sucking out liquidity. That's why you have those. That's why you have those charts. The issue is this: typical IMF program. You squeeze inflation out of the system. It can affect growth negatively, but the idea is that growth is only sustainable if it's in a non-inflationary environment. If you have growth in an inflationary environment, it's not going to last.
Prof, why didn't you mention the monetary factor when you were telling me why inflation was coming down? You said exchange rate, food inflation, and good fiscal management. You did not say anything about the monetary policy. Now, I am putting up charts to show that possibly some of the inflation control is on the monetary side. Prof, what do you have to say?
Well, I think it comes to the same thing. Let me take you back to what happened in 2020, 2024. Many of the negative things that happened came from the fiscal side, and monetary was supposed to come in and mop up those excesses, and that actually led us to where we got to. Now, the fiscal had been very consistent and very disciplined, and monetary doesn't have much mess to mop up, so that is one. But you cannot discount what the central bank has done. I am one person who is very careful when it comes to looking at the policy rate and why the central bank, especially the MPC, is not reducing the policy rate because inflation is coming down. I'm very, very careful because the economy is made up of so many people. It's made up of industry, it's made up of those who are going for credit, for consumption, and so on. And the banks are there to make profit. So if you don't take care, and then you say that, well, I think inflation is trending down, I will just move ahead and reduce the policy rate from where it is now to, let's say, the teens. You cannot monitor where credit is going to be. Other activities will also compete with industry for credit. So the bank is always careful in making sure that, as we say in our local language, it can happen like that. So the bank is always very cautious when it comes to that. The second aspect that makes me very cautious about that is that the bank has the data. They know the extent of liquidity that we have in the economy. And therefore, they are very careful not to tamper with what we have as far as monetary growth is concerned. So, in all these, inflation is coming down. The central bank has credit that it has to take, and I would not take it away from
Okay,
them.
Normally,
when the fiscal misbehaves, that is where the central bank is caught in the middle.
I agree with you, but again, in economics, you and others said to us that the policy rate is the independent variable, and all the other rates are dependent variables. So the policy rate is supposed to transmit to the market to affect average lending rate and to an extent the T-bill rate. In Ghana today, the policy rate is 25%. Average lending rate is 30%. Inflation 11.5, treasury bill 10. Or I think treasury bills, I don't know. It depends on which number. Basically around the same as inflation rate. Is there not a problem with the transmission mechanism?
Let me say that other rates are not dependent variable. Other rates are endogenous. So they are known to be endogenous. And then we have the policy rate being controlled by the central bank. Remember, the treasury bill rate is not controlled by the central bank. The treasury bill rate is supposed to be the rate at which the government is borrowing. And remember, when the government came in, it brought it down to that level because they were also concerned about interest payment and so on. So that one maybe, but the policy rate's direct effect is on the lending rate. And sometimes I ask myself, if the policy rate comes down to about 13%, it has come down to that level before, you will see that lending rate will still hover within the 20% range. When it is up there, it is there. So I think that the central bank must look at it, watch the trend very, very well, and not to jump into reducing the rate. I think now it's about 25%. I don't expect the MPC to reduce it by 500 basic points. That will be very big. I expect them to still watch the trend for about 2 months, 3 months, and up to 4 months, and be sure of how the economy is actually faring, and then they can come out that significantly. I know my friends in the industry may be worried about this, but as I said, that banks give credit to consumption as well. So if you don't take care and you don't get the credit flowing into manufacturing, agriculture, and it goes into consumption, and as it were, begins to put pressure on the exchange rate, and then people are importing and so on, then we go back to square one.
Joe, is there not a misalignment of our rates? Policy rate 25, average lending rate 30, inflation 11.5, T-bill, depending on who you ask, I think it's 11 in some places, very close to inflation. Almost negative interest rates at this point. Clearly something is wrong, isn't it?
No.
You don't think so?
I don't think so. We're running a balancing act. Listen, it is so easy to forget that 8 months ago, we're in the middle of an economic crisis. And even though there seemed to be some light at the end of the tunnel, we were still in the middle of the crisis. And that this year, whatever happened, there were going to be some very difficult decisions to be taken. Inflation had to be brought down, right? And in a lot of ways, those who are buying T-bills are buying because there's very little other option for your money at this moment. You don't want to hold cash. So really, what are you going to do if you're holding that liquidity? What are the other options? We have very few other credible options. And it's easy to say we have negative interest rates. Have you forgotten when inflation was at 50 and and T-bills were in the higher 20s? Yeah. So this is actually quite a good situation compared to that. And that was just a year ago. It wasn't like it was 10 years ago or a lifetime ago. 2, there is still a lot of liquidity that must be kept out of the system. That liquidity must not go back to feed inflation. Keeping inflation low allows us to keep the T-bill rates low, and means that the cost of financing our debt is kept low.
There's a question
reasonable.
for the panelists. Ejaya Brefo says, what is the trade-off of the fiscal restraint that has kept inflation low while the accounts payable balance grows? Government clearance of payables have been slow, and that can hurt the economy also. What do your panelists say?
Well, one thing there is that if you ask government, they will tell you that they are auditing what is really payable and what is not. But the fact is that they are trying to keep a lid on how much they are paying out for liquidity management purposes to push down inflation. It's a trade-off that you just can't do without. If government tries to pay off all the bills presented to it right now, apart from the fact that they might end up paying some bills which are not genuine, the fact is that there will be too much liquidity in the system. The inflation will not have come down the way it has come down now. But please, I need to point out something about this interest rate thing. Let's try to understand things. The monetary policy rate is the rate at which the Bank of Ghana lends to banks as a lender of last resort. Now, since the financial sector reforms of the beginning of this decade, all right, banks don't like going to the Bank of Ghana as a borrower of last resort because it's like exposing ourselves. Oh, we don't have liquidity. So the banks have agreed among themselves within the orbit of the Ghana central bankers that the interbank market provides liquidity. They provide liquidity to each other. Now, the interbank average market, the interbank average rate is slightly below the monetary policy rate, around 23 or so. Now, listen carefully. There's also something called the Ghana reference rate. The Ghana reference rate is effectively the base rate for all the banks. The banks, they competed to the Ghana central bankers and the Bank of Ghana. That rate right now is about 23%. So when a bank lends at over 30%, it means that it's demanding a very large spread. That is the reason why the banks are still lending at over 30%. And the reason why, just look at the non-performing loans ratio. Look, a bank, remember that, you see, a financial institution, I'm sure Joe Jackson will back me up on this. A bank, an institution that lends, its first priority is the depositor, not the borrower. He has to protect the depositor's money. Next, of course, is the shareholders who are putting equity capital, has to protect their capital. The borrower provides the profit margin, but in terms of the priority, it comes last. So if a bank has to lend at over 30% to make enough margin to cover up for all the people who borrow and don't pay, so well, that's commercial business. So when we talk about the borrowing being over 30%, it's not so much about the disconnect with the inflation and everything. It's the fact that banks need to.
Yeah, but if
cushion
you are
themselves
lending to a
against
company
losses.
at 30%, then you can't lend to any productive company. You are only lending to people who are doing trade. And that's going to affect growth. Because if companies don't have access to good credit, they are not productive. If you are not productive, you cannot grow. If you cannot grow, then you're going to get to square one.
You see, that problem is not just the matter of the rate itself, it's also the matter of the tenors. Banks, go and check the banks, their deposits. How many banks have deposits of more than 1 year?
We'll take a break. When we come back, we'll deal with two quick issues. Employment creation. The government statistician is demanding urgent, targeted interventions to tackle structural weaknesses in Ghana's labor market despite signs of progress. Speaking at a press conference to release the July 2025 edition of the quarterly labor statistics, Dr. Alhassan Idrisu disclosed that Ghana's unemployment rate declined marginally to 13.6% in 2024 from 14.6% in 2023, which means we have a lot of work to do for job creation. We'll deal with that and debt management when we come back. Stay with us.
You've seen nothing yet. This Big Brother Naija Season 10. It's 10 times the drama, 10 times the rivalry, and 10 times the game. This is certified. No zero, no minus. Big Brother Naija Season 10. Showing 24/7 on DSTV and on GoTV. Gold sponsor, Guinness.
Kwame and his uncle are almost here.
Wait a minute. This one too, your friend Kwame.
Wait, Kwame. As in the same Kwame again?
Yes, Mommy.
I'm the second coming. Into all this tension just to reintroduce that broke boy from Kaswa.
Why would you deceive the family like this again?
Now I understand the whole delay. Troll from Kaswati. Why wouldn't he be late? Or be later?
Of course.
Star 712 hash, star 712 hash. Yeah. You go be the luckiest. Coffee from Georgia be luckiest. From not the cause she be luckiest. Yeah, you go be luckiest. Nobody know why you're luckiest. Everybody go be the luckiest.
That's Kwame!
Send your God the apple boom. If you put it that way, so would the coming of the Son of Man be. Is that his car?
Dial star 712 hash. Choose your ticket. Enter your lucky number. Follow the prompt and let destiny handle the rest.
This promotion is regulated by the NLA on the Caritas platform.
Welcome back. This is still the point of view. Tonight, we're dealing with 4 topics under the general rubric of 9 months of the Mahama economic management. How well are they doing? Exchange rate, inflation rate, and other rates. Now let's deal with unemployment. Government statistician is demanding urgent targeted interventions to tackle structural weaknesses in Ghana's labor market. He says while the number of employed persons increased by over 1 million within 23-24, he cautioned that many of the new jobs are still vulnerable. He says employment is growing, but too many jobs remain informal and insecure. Youth unemployment and NEET levels, which is not in education, employment, or training, are alarmingly high, keeping millions out of both work and education, he stated. Professor Babatin, you taught me labor economics, so I know labor is one of your favorite areas of economic management. You also said to me today that there are 4 objectives of economic management: growth, price stability, balance of payment, and employment. So in a sense, employment is the most important thing to look at for a government's performance. Do we have enough data to even tell us how this government is doing when it comes to employment and job creation?
Well, at this time, no, because the data is up to 2020. The data is up to 2024 last quarter. I don't work against Scorecard service, but let me give them thumbs up because I know that they are almost done with the second quarter data. So at least when they finish and analyze that, we should be able to know how the economy is faring as far as the labor market is concerned. So having said that, I would say that whatever we are having as far as the labor market is concerned is not new. It has been there for a long time, and we have not been able to look at it as the major issue. It is an outcome of many policies that we have implemented. Now, if you look at the data very, very well, you realize that the entrance into the labor market is such that no matter the number of jobs that you create, you will not be able to absorb all of them. And looking at our economy being more informal, you expect that many people will just seek refuge in the informal sector. I think we need to take a longer term view of this issue. I would have loved that Scorecard survey would have also given us data on duration of unemployment, because the unemployment rate, with the incidence of unemployment, is very good. It gives you a snapshot. But one important part of it, which I know they have the data, is how long have people remained unemployed? Is it 2 months? Is it 1 year? Is it 2 years? It also tells us whether indeed we are doing well in that regard. I think it is a wake-up call to the government. Our policies seem to be driven by politics, and I beg to say that, because if you look at our policy from 1984, since Structural Adjustment Program, the intervention we have had, if you take the Youth Employment Program, which has become GDA, which has become, which now it is YEA, we talk about NEIP, all the interventions are politically driven. So it does not actually help us in getting the results that we want. On the supply side, Ben, I think we all are jubilated when we have the free SHS. It was excellent. But unfortunately, we did not think about when they finish, where are they going to be? We did not prepare the labor market for them. So now when SSS, when we are having WASI, we are talking about 500,000 people sitting WASI. How many people are going to enter the university? And these days, when you add all the students that graduate from private and public universities, you would then know the extent of the number that enter the labor market every year. So the inflows is such that no matter the number of jobs, and I would say employment that are created, will still have some that will be difficult to absorb. I think we need to look at the structure, the supply side of the equation, which is our education. And if we don't take care and only rush our students into the labor market, we then have to double, triple, quadruple up our demand side before we can absorb them.
Thank you for this. Toma, any points on job creation and employment? Is it too early to start assessing a government job creation?
Well, it's too early, but the fact is that even when they stay for several years, it's not going to get much better.
You don't think so?
It's not. Look, first of all, when you rely basically on services for your job creation, you are going to be limited. The sectors that can create the most jobs are agriculture and manufacturing. Now, agric, you have problems of access to land. You have problems, you have cultural problems. Agric is not sexy for young people coming out into the job market. Then again, another problem is that our distribution system, our supply chain when it comes to agric is so inefficient that the farmers basically end up with peanuts. If you go and check a Soko, if you check a Soko platform, you will find that farmers, the farm gate prices for a lot of the food we eat here is barely half of the price at which you buy food stuff here in urban Ghana. Farmers get barely half of it. The rest is just people marking up 10%, 20% as they move from one hand to the other, from the farm gate to the market. So when you look at what the farmer is getting, the question becomes, is it really a good incentive for somebody to be a farmer?
Yeah.
Then the manufacturing, the other one is that, look, this was the problem of all of us. We are so import dependent. We don't want to try to manufacture. And we've made it easier for the importers by trying to operate in a liberalized economy. So basically, you are creating jobs abroad. Simple example. Bernard, soft drinks. Until a couple of years ago, the only soft drink you could buy in Ghana was Coke, Fanta, Pepsi, and the likes. Over the past couple of years, you had the Bell Group, the Angel Group, all kinds of soft drinks now being made here, which are actually cheaper than the Coke and Fanta and Coke. And you have to ask yourself, so what are we waiting for before we start producing these goods here? But they will just import, because the Coke and Fanta, they just import basically the formula which we pay for. They just add the water, mix it, bottle it, and sell to us. Same thing, look at alcohol, look at beer. Until about less than 20 years ago, our beer was being based on imported barley hops. Until now, we decided to try sorghum. Look at what the sorghum has done for farmers in the north in terms of providing a ready market for people who go towards sorghum. Look at how we've reduced the imported barley hops, which was creating jobs for people who produce the barley hops abroad. We have to change our mentality as a country. Look, go to India. Indians have relatively much better standard of living than us, per capita income than us. But look at how many Indians were brought to buy a Tata car than a BMW or Mercedes-Benz. We have to adopt the mentality of looking inwards.
So our consumption is part of
our
the
consumption
whole
factors, yes.
Production that leads even to job creation.
My wife says, oh, typical Fanti woman. Me, I prefer the imported rice to the local rice. Then she goes in the market and brings back rice. I bought imported rice. I look at it, it's made in Abidjan.
Made in Abidjan.
That's the imported rice.
Wow.
It's a mentality problem.
Let me deal with Joe on this issue of job creation. Is it too early to start assessing the government's job creation?
Well, first of all, 8 months is a bit too early. Maybe realistically, 6 months is a bit too early. But the job creation issues are there. The numbers are there. In a sense, I do agree with Toma that for so long as our response to job creation is let's create a government scheme, and I use my words carefully, to pretend to employ, and the people pretend to work, and then we pretend to pay, we will not create any proper jobs long term. The proper jobs will be created in the agri sector. Proper jobs will be created in the informal sector. And so it is really about creating a platform so that the private sector can create the jobs. Government can never and should not be the person responsible for creating all the jobs in the market. The market, the jobs should be the responsibility of the private sector. What government should do is to make it easy. What government should do is to make it the playing field level, and to provide the incentives that will make you create a job. That's what should happen. Now, albeit 8 months too early, but that is a time bomb. That is a horrible time bomb that is ticking for all of us in this country.
All right. Let's deal with debt. But the last thing I want to show you on the job creation was you gave me this nice chart. Youth unemployment is still serious. 22.5% for those who are between 15 and 35 years. Very high. 32% for 15 to 24-year-olds.
That is the horrible number.
Very big.
Huge.
32%.
32% between 15 and 24.
Wow.
Yes. That's the time bomb. That's a whole generation.
So that's what the government needs to think more seriously about.
And I wonder how are you defining unemployment? Because if you really look at real unemployment, if you add the underemployed, the figure will be higher.
Let's talk about debt. If Prof doesn't have anything to add on job creation, you're the job expert.
Yes, I wanted to. I think Thomas made mention of the definition, and here the definition that they are using is the broader definition, which captures in actual fact the through unemployed people, because it also gives you an idea. It brings in those that we used to call the hidden unemployed as well. So the figures here are quite okay. So for underemployment and so on, they are on the other side. They are part of the labor underutilization. But normally, policy is always need to look at those who don't have it. But those who have it and are having something to do, if you bring them on board, you just mix them up.
Okay. Let's end with debt. And again, I go to Finance Minister. Finance Minister reports major public debt decline. July 24, Ghana's public debt total has declined by 113.7 billion cedis during the first half of 2025, marking a significant fiscal turnaround. Addressing Parliament during the media budget review, Kasila Tuforsen, Finance Minister, attributed the development to prudent fiscal measures, debt restructuring, and currency appreciation. He said the country's public debt fell from 726.7 billion cedis end 2024 to 613 as of June 2025. Quote, for the first time in Ghana's history, there is a negative 15.6% of debt accumulation. Dr. Forsen reported that Ghana's debt to GDP ratio declined from 61.8% to 43.8% over the 6-month period, describing the 18% point drop as evidence of improved macroeconomic performance under the IMF program. Is he overstating this, or is this the real fact in terms of the description of the number? The jump seems pretty big, 61% to 43.8, 15% reduction in debt accumulation and all of that.
Well, if you're owing a foreigner $10 million, and at your exchange rate of 15 to 1, that's 150 million. And your exchange rate appreciates
to 10.
So now it becomes 100 million.
Yeah, but
as you reduce your debt,
you are still going to pay
$10 million.
It has reduced how much you need to raise to pay it. Because if, in the same example, if your exchange rate had gone to 30, you would have needed double the amount to pay the same dollars.
If the dollars are not available at 15 to 1, believe me, they will not be available at 10 to 1.
Because you make money in cedis.
Liquidity that is the issue here. The way you're talking about the money you're saving, those are units of account.
So it's an accounting point. It's not a substantive point.
Yes, it's an accounting point. The problem we have with our foreign debt is forex liquidity. That's why we have to restructure our foreign debt. If not, we could have
and you're saying that between that time and now, nothing much has changed in terms of our debt management approach?
In terms of access to forex liquidity, it has not improved that much. Yes, gold is giving us more. Cocoa is about to give us more with the new system we have, the new thing we have in place. But the issue is that, look, if we had the forex easily available, we wouldn't have had to restructure our foreign debt in the first place. The problem was forex liquidity.
I have to disagree.
You beg to differ?
I beg to differ.
Okay.
This is a country that earns cedis. When we export, our revenue is largely in cedis. Of course, we have some foreign denominated inflows. But our debt service involves shipping out money, which comes in cedis. Now, Toma is right that if the exchange rate is at 15 and I owe $10 million, it needs 150 million cedis that I owe. If tomorrow it drops to 10, I now owe 100 million. Significant difference. So, to the extent that the cedi appreciated, right, our debts shrunk. In fact, look out for an increase in our debt numbers because the CD has depreciated. So in the days ahead, you're going to find that as we do the counting for the amount of money we owe in dollars, the amount is going to go up because the CD has gone from 10.5 to 12 plus. So you're going to see, for every dollar, you're going to see a 2 CD. So it's going to come and hit us. But to the extent that we are a CD country, the amount of money I need to service my debt is a lot less. So he's right in what made the drop in debt look dramatic. But I disagree on the net effect. It still will bring us some relief.
So when your currency appreciates, it helps in your ability to service your external debt.
It does. It does. Because you have to ship out less CDs to service your debt. Now, remember also that the debt there's also another function, which is that by reducing the cost of servicing that debt, they reduce the refinance requirements in the domestic debt. That also helped. In fact, more than anything else, the last 8 months have been an indication that we are setting out to reduce how much domestic debt we pile on our existing debt because we are reducing the cost of refinancing it. Remember, the debt was at 20+%, right? Now it's down to 10%. So that was a significant drop also. So they have to take, you can't take credit for everything because some of it is the appreciation of the CD. But to the extent that you were involved in getting the CD appreciation, you can claim credit. Then you can also claim credit for the fact that, and that was the utter discipline, to go to the market, T-bills market, and take only what you have set out to take.
Despite oversubscription.
Despite oversubscription. Or when there was undersubscription and you have a target rate, you hit the target rate and you walk away from the table.
So for you, that's very significant.
That is significant.
That one I agree. Look, government has, because based on rates alone, government has halved its CD-denominated debt servicing costs. That one I totally agree. But the issue I have with the forex one about the appreciation. Look, government does not go on the open market to go and buy dollars to service its debt. It services debt for its own forex income. You understand? And so $100 million is $100 million. It's not like it's going to now pay 10 times
it doesn't,
the dollar thing to
so
get
if
that
it doesn't have dollars,
$700.
it doesn't have dollars.
It's the same dollar amount.
Well,
it's the unit of account that it looks
let
like
me ask Bob to resolve this. What do you think of the debt issue? So we have reduced our debt to GDP from 61 to 43.8. A lot of this is because of the currency appreciation. And Thomas thinks that doesn't really make any difference because you still need FX to pay for your foreign denominated debt. Joe Jackson thinks to the extent that you need fewer CDs to purchase dollars, there is some credit to be gotten there. What do you make of that?
Well, I think this program, I will call this as headline program. Maybe subsequently we can take them one after the other and go deeper into the figures so that we'll be able to appreciate. So I agree with both. I agree with both to the extent that when you take the nominal, you realize that the appreciation, and here I'm dividing it into external and domestic debt. So for the external debt, when you take the nominal in CDs, we have gained because of the appreciation. But in terms of the dollar itself, we haven't had anything there. So that one, for us to talk about it in terms of dollars, it means that we haven't done anything by reducing the external debt. But in CDs, because of the appreciation, we have been able to reduce. So if our revenue remain as it is, it doesn't go down because of the appreciation, then government ability to service the external debt will not be as difficult as before. But remember, appreciation also brought down revenue. So you have to look at the net effect. So you need to do some kind of simulation to be able to come up with the net effect of the appreciation as to how it will affect our debt servicing. But the most important part of it, which government should take credit, is what my senior colleague spoke about as the domestic debt. Remember, the government came in and reduced the TB rate down from the 20s to now about 11. So even though government is borrowing, you will see that we are not having the debt going up because the interest is very, very low. So for that one, you need to give government credit for that. But by and large, for the external debt, by all means, we have to look at when we are going to service it and how will it affect our reserve. So we need to take it in totality. In economic analysis, we have what we call the static analysis, which is just taking it at a time. And then we have the dynamics. So where you look at it over a period of time, and where this one goes up, it affects the transmission mechanism here and there. And that also gives you an idea as to whether what we are doing is sustainable and it will not come back to 100. But for the static perspective, we've been able to reduce the debt accumulation down, which is positive. So long as we have not had any problem with our revenue, and if we are able to generate quite enough revenue, we should be able to. And I am happy that the reserves are fine, and therefore when it comes to paying the external debt, we will not default.
Let's end with what you've been doing for your whole life. You mark students and you give them grades. And then you have these nice words around each grade. So when somebody gets an F, they failed. When somebody gets E, it's probably very poor, but just above water. Then maybe D is satisfactory. And then C can be average. B can be good. And then A is very good. A plus is excellent. What adjective will you use to describe the economy so far? I'll start with the professor.
Well, you know that when I was teaching you, I never marked questions that have not been answered within the 3 hours. So where we are only 6 months. And to assess an economy within 6 months is very, very difficult. We have the short, we have the medium, we have the longer term. We spoke about unemployment, and the data available is up to 2024. So we don't have any data to be able to know what has happened. And even if we have the data, any government policy and its effect on employment takes time. So it doesn't take only 6 months to be able to do that. If you are talking about just the macro aspect, that one is short term. But to put everything together, it becomes very difficult to mark. If I have to mark it, I will say that, well, this one is continuous assessment. So let's wait for about a year or two, and then we'll be able to give a very good assessment.
You have found a nice way of dodging the question. Thomas, would you use the same approach?
No, I'll be straightforward. Look, I'll be straight. Look, I'll give this government, in fact, I'll give them a B+.
A B+?
Yes. They've done very well. Where the only problem I have with them was that they appreciated the exchange rate too fast.
Too fast.
And now it has rebounded. So we have moved from best performing currency in the world to so-called worst performing. That was the wrong reportage. But I mean, if you look at it from a mathematical point of view, it looks as if we're the worst performing currency. And we could have avoided it by letting the cedi to appreciate at a slower rate.
So very
and not
so,
as far
so
as
B+.
it went. Yeah.
B+ for you.
Yeah.
And I'll give you the last word.
I'll give him a B+.
A B+.
And I will give the Minister of Finance special mention for the admirable discipline he's shown so far.
Fiscal discipline.
Yes. The fiscal discipline, and the evidence is there. I agree that you can't mark them except for the short term. But the discipline shown in this period
should continue.
Should continue and has to be admired.
But contractors need to be paid.
You don't want me to throw a bomb into your show before
No,
I
agree with you
know what I think of the contractors need to be paid, don't you?
No, I don't know.
Oh, okay. Well, you can take it for the last bit. Contractors need to take a haircut.
We'll leave it here. We've been talking to Professor William Babwating, who is the Vice Chancellor of the Methodist University College, an economist. We have Toma Emi here, who is a financial and business journalist. And of course, Joe Jackson, who is the CEO of Dalex Finance. Thanks for watching. On Wednesday, the president will be holding his first Meet the Press. So the point of view will be live from the presidency, and we'll be there to ask your questions to the president. Please tune in to watch that. Congrats to the Black Stars for nearly qualifying. They have at least one more win to secure it. So congrats to all concerned. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.